everybody. How you doing? Welcome to the big show. My name is Mickey, and this is Mickey in the Middle, the quintessential. Hello. Yeah, this thing's on. The quintessential show for Middle Americans, where all Middle Americans are welcome. Doesn't matter where you've been, doesn't matter where you go. It just matters that you're here right now. On this show, we try to be politically neutral. We try to call balls and strikes. We try not to pay attention to the 20% of the crazies on the far left or the 20% of the crazies on the far right. We know that 60% of the people in the country are in the middle. And we just have to have clear messaging to the people in the middle so that they understand what the strikes and what the balls are so that they can talk to their politicians so that they can know what's going on with the country. Look, we're not doing anything fancy here. We just know that we cannot pick a side. We cannot be tribal. We can't be tribal when it comes to politics because not all politics or not all politicians are going to decide the same thing. They're going to change their mind. They're going to have nuances in their policy. And here's what the deal is. There's a lot of nuance. There's nobody in the rest of the world can be 100% for the things that you're for. But if you jump on a bandwagon, when you're on a bandwagon, they can come up with terrible ideas that you have to go along with because you're on the bandwagon. See how that works? You cannot. I'm not on Trump's side. I'm not on Biden's side. I'm not on Kamala Harris's side. I'm not on JD Vance's side. I'm not on who's that guy down in Florida? DeSantis, right? I'm not on his side. I'm not on Governor Newsom's side. Some of these people have good ideas. Some of these people have bad ideas. All I do is I just go and research stuff and I figure do not because there's a certain person there. What you to do as a middle American is not fall into the I like this politician, so I have to go along with everything they like. Right? That's how we get what we want as middle Americans. Now, today's story, today's mission is peace possible? And I want to talk about peace for a minute. I was in the United States military for 30 years. 30 years and 11 days. I got in April 19th in 1983 and I got out May 1st of 2013. 2013. 30 years in the military. When I got in, the squadron I was going to was off to Grenada. And then after I left that squadron, they were off to Panama. And then when I was in my next squadron in Germany, we went off to the first Gulf War. And then after that, I went down to special operations. And then next thing we know, we were in Kosovo. And now, after Kosovo, a whole bunch of different things happening, including 9/11. And then we're off to Afghanistan and then to Iraq and then back to Afghanistan. I spent so many months and months and months in deployments over there. It was absolutely crazy. So war is very personal to me because I've got to be able to be in a military that was pretty much active in the United States or in world affairs and at war for the last, for 30 years. My vote as somebody that was in the United States active duty for 30 years is I wish we could really stop all wars. You want to know why? You ever seen Game of Thrones? Have you ever seen Game of Thrones? Here's the crazy thing about Game of Thrones. The highborns in all of the castles make decisions, and then they go out into the towns and villages, and they recruit young people to go fight their battles for them. That's the same way that it is now. Politicians all over the world decide that they don't like something, and they're willing to go to war over it. It's horrible. Common people like you and I, we just get sucked up into this massive war-making machine because we have a military-industrial complex that just won't quit because they're going to supply arms on the one side that they like. But then there's going to be the competing companies and countries that collaborate. It's kind of like in World War I and II, where you had the Axis and the Allies, right? Who were the good guys? Well, if you were on the side of the Axis, you thought that you were doing the right thing. If you were on the side of the Allies, you thought you were doing the right thing. Now, I'm happy that the Allies won. Trust me, it changed the world. But ever since then, we've had these smaller conflicts, and they're not world wars, but they could be world wars. Thankfully, we haven't got any more world wars. That's the good thing. But we still have all these regional conflicts that we're trying to work out. So it says, hi, Mickey. How about getting on the side of Mark Calcutta says, how about getting on the side of veterans? People need to research the Richard Starr Act being proposed in Congress. Well, I am on the side of veterans, but that's a political issue. That's a political issue. Thank you for your comment. All right, so let's talk about what's going on now. What happened was I was minding my own business scrolling on the Facebook when all of a sudden it came by. It said that the people in Cambodia, the Cambodian president, nominated President Donald Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize for brokering a deal and an end to the war between Cambodia and Thailand. And 2,500 monks went into their capital city to have a protest of support for the Cambodian president who nominated Donald J. Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. They said in their speech that 70,000 monks supported the idea that Donald Trump gets nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize and wins the Nobel Peace Prize because he brokered this truth. And the war had been going on for, 20 years? I don't know. It's been going on for a long time. Here's the thing. Here's the thing about that. I put it on there, and you would have thought that ending a war was a bad thing because it was like Donald J. Trump was ending this. He should not be nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. He did blah, 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 blah. Listen, Linda, listen. There was a cute YouTube video a long time ago that my wife absolutely loved, where a little kid, like 3 years old, was talking to his mom going, Linda, listen. So anyway, I digress. Here's the crazy thing about it. The first thing that came into my mind was, what in the hell is Donald Trump doing sticking his nose into a conflict between Cambodia and Thailand? I want you to ask that question. What in the hell is Donald Trump doing sticking his nose in a conflict between Cambodia and Thailand? Why would you or Donald Trump or anybody else give two shits what's going on between Cambodia and Thailand? They have had border disputes. They've had people killed on the border. It's been happening for a really, really long time. It's not a significant thing on the world stage, but why in the hell would Donald Trump give a shit about it? And then the next thing I know, I didn't even know that they were still fighting over there. I knew that they had hostilities along the borders, but the next thing I see, 2,500 monks going, Donald Trump needs to be nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. And that's backed up by 70,000 monks in Cambodia. I think that that's pretty damn cool that the president of the United States in his January 20, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, 7 months after they take power, goes to Cambodia and Thailand and goes, hey, what in the hell are you kids doing over here? What are you kids doing? Hey, hi, Carolyn. How you doing? Carolyn goes, I know the Linda clip on YouTube you're talking about. Yeah, it's great. Here's the thing. When Donald Trump and the president of the United States and the State Department calls up Cambodia and Thailand and says, hey, look here, we need to do something about the situation you guys have. We don't like the killing. Is there any way that we can work this out? Is there any way that you guys can just decide to get tired of this stuff, that we can reach a diplomatic settlement, and that we can come up with a solution that's going to say, hey, look here, Thailand stay in Thailand and Cambodia stay in Cambodia, and we'll come up with some economic sanctions and we'll come up with some economic deals that it'll make it advantageous for both countries just to stop fighting. How hard is that? Well, here's why it's hard. Number one, somebody in the State Department has to know that it's going on. Somebody in the State Department has to tell Secretary Rubio, the Secretary of State, that it's going on. And Secretary Rubio has to tell Trump. And then Trump has to make the phone calls to the leaders of the country. That's an involved process in and of itself. When Donald Trump is worried about Israel and Gaza and Ukraine and Russia and the economy and what's going on the global stage, Donald Trump took the time to make the phone calls and go, hey, look here. This is not a big deal to the United States of America. I know that it's a regional type of a thing, but if you guys can knock that shit off, we greatly appreciate it. I want you to think about the type of a human being and the situation that we have in the White House. It's got to be totally chaotic. There's got to be a million things happening in the White House. The slings and arrows that people are throwing at Donald Trump just because he's Donald Trump, the billionaire. He owns golf courses. He flies around on jets. He's going to the Middle East. He's got 1,000 things doing. He jabs at the press every single day. He's trying to become, well, he's already famous, but he's trying to become the most famous president in the United States. So he's probably trying, he's trying to get into heaven. If you haven't heard Donald Trump's, I think that was tongue in cheek, but I think that it was serious enough to be made into a note for this show. But my question for everybody is, with Ukraine and Russia going on, is Israel and Gaza going on, and Hamas, what's up with Cambodia and Thailand? So that started a big controversy because somebody else said something about Azerbaijan and Armenia. Did you know that there's been conflicts between Armenia and Azerbaijan since the 1980s? Yeah, since the 1980s. That's a long ass time. And Donald Trump took the presidents of Armenia and Azerbaijan and said, hey, can you two knuckleheads come over here to the White House and have a meeting so that we can work some shit out? See, he didn't just call. He said, can you come to the White House and sit down with the Secretary of State and me, and we're going to have a meeting in the Oval Office so that we can get our pictures taken so that we can work all this stuff out. Once again, I have a question. Why in the hell is Donald Trump worried about a war between Armenia and Azerbaijan? Here's the cool thing about that one. That was previously being mediated and negotiated by Russia. So Russia was the key diplomatic tie between those two countries. And they've been at it since the 1980s. And Russia couldn't even get it done. So Putin and his equivalent in the State Department could not get it done. So Donald Trump invited both of the presidents of the country to the White House and said, look, man, come on. Let's do something about this. How in the hell can we be fighting since the 1980s? By the way, that's 50 years ago for those of you who are trying to keep that 80s. The 90s, 2000, 2010, 2025, 45 years. You like the way I count? 45 years these countries have been at it. And then Donald Trump finally went, hey, man, come on over here. Let's give each other a hug. Let's work this shit out. This is important because, once again, why in the hell is Donald Trump looking at Armenia and Azerbaijan? Now, they're still not getting along. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's not solved. But what they did do is they said, hey, look here. We will close the borders and we will stop infiltrating other people's property, and we're going to stop the killing. So they've got a ceasefire. They don't have diplomatic relationships, but they said that they're not going to kill each other anymore. And I think that's pretty cool, because here's what the deal is. If you're fighting with your neighbor, the first thing you have to do is go, hey, look here, we're going to come to some type of an agreement where we're going to stop picking on each other. We're going to stop being antagonistic. We're still going to have the fence installed. We're still not going to cross the borders. We're not going to let the kids in your yards. You don't let the dogs in our yard. We're going to close the border. We're going to have diplomatic immunity. We're not going to talk to you. You don't talk to us, but we're going to close the border, and we're going to stop this war. Hopefully, the U.S. State Department is still going to stay on this and help those two countries work it out between the two of them. Because here's the thing is, over a long period of time, you develop a hate for somebody else that has killed your relatives. And the simple fact of the matter is you don't get over that. But the thing is that it's not down to an individual level. It's down to the countries. You just got to go, oh, do I hate the entire country? And it comes back down to the little people. It comes back down to the little people in the Game of Wars, Game of Thrones analogy. The people that live in the village that have to go and pick up all their stuff and go fight for a king or a queen and cross a border and go kill people over there, they're not taking it out on the people. They're killing the people only to get a result for a king or a queen. But when they go back, they don't have any animosity towards the people of the other village. They hate the structure of the state. And here's why this is important, because this is a continuing pattern with Donald Trump. So let's go through a few of these. Donald Trump's like, hey, look here, man, I'm stopping all the wars. We got to bring peace to everything. So here it is. The monks in Cambodia and Thailand. That's pretty cool. They nominated Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. Armenia and Azerbaijan since the 1980s. Congo and Rwanda. It's a 30-year war. All of us, if you've been alive for 50 years, if you've ever paid attention, you know that the Congo and Rwanda have been fighting for 30 years. It's been off the charts. They take each other's territory, then they go win it back, and then the next tribal leader comes in and he says, we're going to go kill more of those sons of bitches. And the next thing you know, Rwanda and Congo have been at it. Guess what Trump did with them? He also invited them to the White House, and they also worked out their agreements. There's a very, very sophisticated diplomatic plan in place for Rwanda and Congo. Here's the thing. Did you notice that Rwanda and the Congo are primarily black? So it doesn't matter whether you're Armenian or Azerbaijan. I love saying that. Or it doesn't matter whether you're in the Congo or Rwanda. Trump wants peace everywhere. Everywhere. Right? India and Pakistan. Now, if you know anything about India and Pakistan, they've been fighting over a little bitty place called Kashmir for centuries, thousands of years. Kashmir is on the border of China, India, Pakistan, and I think one other country, maybe Russia. I don't know. Anyway, here's the crazy thing is about that. They've been fighting for thousands of years over this little bitty thing. Trump really went in there and went, hey, look here, man. Pakistan just infiltrated into Kashmir, and that's Indian. That's part of India. And they killed people in the capital there in Kashmir. So Trump went in there and went, look, man, I'm not negotiating peace, but you guys are two nuclear powers, and you guys need to get this under control. And we need to figure out a thing to do in that region with Russia and with China and with India and with Pakistan. At least he made the effort. Now, not a lot has been done there, right? So, but they are two nuclear powers, but the fighting has stopped. And that is critically important, because when you're talking about nuclear powers, that literally affects the globe. So he's not only handling the small stuff that's not significant to the United States, but he's also paying attention. And God bless America. I'm sounding like a Donald Trump fan. I'm not a Donald Trump fan. I want you to know that I think he's the president of the United States. He's going to do some things that I like. He's going to do other things that I don't like. But I have to say this. He's paying attention to the wars and he's paying attention to international situations. And when have we had a president do that? We haven't had a president do that in a really, really long time. Not beyond the significant things that is going on at the time, like when George Bush took us into Afghanistan and then Iraq, and then Obama continued that. That's the only thing that we paid attention to. We barely paid attention to Russia. We barely paid attention to China. We had cut the deals previous to that. And the next thing you know is the only thing that in international relations that I can remember are the war and nothing else. Everything else was domestic. I really don't. Other than the withdrawal from Afghanistan that Joe Biden really fucked up. Oh, sorry. He did. I will never forgive him for that. It did not have to go that way. When Joe Biden took over, Afghanistan was great. We had a couple thousand troops in Afghanistan. Who cares? If nobody's shooting and nobody's dying and no troops died the year prior to Joe Biden taking over in the White House. An entire year went by. No Americans died. There was peace in Afghanistan, and then Joe Biden screwed it up within 60 days. God, I'll never forgive him for that. 20 years worth of American military blood and treasure, life, blood, treasure, and Joe Biden screwed it up in 60 days. I'll never forgive him for that. But anyway, sorry. Back to what we're talking about. The next one on my list is Israel and Iran. Iran. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Israel. Blah, 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 blah. Fighters, missiles. Donald Trump went, hey, we need to knock this shit off. I'm going to send a bunch of B-2 bombers to blow up your toys. So he sent a bunch of bombers over there. He called them up first, which I thought was very polite. Called up Iran and he went, hey, by the way, we're sending a bunch of people over there to blow up your stuff. So you might want to evacuate the facilities and you might want to get people out of the way, but we're going to blow up this and we're going to blow up this and we're going to blow up this. So what did he do? He sent the B-2s escorted by F-22s and F-35s to go blow up their stuff because we have invisible airplanes. How about that? I love the fact that we have invisible airplanes and we can just go, hey, man, we're just going to fly over your place and we're just going to blow some stuff up. Don't take it personal. We're not trying to kill people. We're just trying to break your toys. So now Iran is no longer a nuclear threat within a limited time frame. This has been pushed out, and hopefully indefinitely Iran will not be a nuclear threat. But he didn't negotiate in that one. He took decisive action. He called up and he said, hey, you guys can't do the nuclear thing. They flipped him the finger. Next thing you know, he went, well, they flipped me the finger. I'm going to go and show America's muscle. That's how you don't mess around in international affairs. Now, Iran is supremely quiet. They have a supreme leader, right? So Iran is very, very quiet, and Israel doesn't have to worry about that. What's the next thing that happened? All of the other Arab states in the Gulf and around the Gulf, all of the Arab states condemned Iran. That is significant. Why is it significant? Because in Bush's first term, he did the Abraham Accords, where he got 5 or 6 Muslim majority countries to enter negotiations and become trading partners with Israel. That is significant. Here's why it's significant. Because all of the Arab Muslim countries that were running around there didn't want to have anything to do with Israel. And everybody knows that if you can trade visitors and you can trade tourists and if you can trade economic benefits and trade between the countries, it makes both countries stronger and better and richer. And richer people don't want to get into fights. Rich countries don't want to get into fights. They want to avoid, because their people would be pissed and they'll throw the people out of power. That's the truth. So now they're trying to expand the Abraham Accords. They're trying to get Saudi Arabia in there. That's why it was a big deal when Trump went over to the Arab countries and did the Arab tour of countries where he said, hey, look here, we're going to invest billions of dollars in you if you invest billions and trillions of dollars in us. Because he knows that if you have good trading relations inside of your country with other countries, then you can be more economically secure and therefore more internationally secure. This is a big deal. Which, when you get done with talking about all the stuff that's going on over there, I believe that the Israel-Hamas war in Gaza will be over within a year. I don't think that Hamas can hang out anymore because they're too vilified. They're too hated. And that's secondary. Now, Trump said that he was going to end the war on day one. I knew that that wasn't going to happen. Everybody should have known that it wasn't going to happen. But I'm glad that Donald Trump now has a track record because he's working on all of these other little things. And as you look at the list, they keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger until you finally come down to Ukraine and Russia. And holy smokes, is that kind of like taking off here in the last couple of weeks. All of a sudden, it's like, hey, man, we're going to put some secondary sanctions on countries that you sell oil to because Russia is selling oil to India and to China. So because you're selling oil to India and China and you're getting rich and can prosecute this war, we're going to put sanctions on them to make them poorer, to make you poorer so that they don't buy your oil. And apparently that worked. So because Donald Trump put secondary sanctions on the countries that are buying oil from Russia, Russia came to the table. And that's what resulted in the historic meeting between Putin and Trump with a B-2 and F-35 flyover. Did you see that? Just do, shake hands. B-2 bomber flying overhead. Putin's like, hey, man, what's up with that? Donald Trump is like, that's our B-2. Have you seen it? It's pretty cool. Now, motivations. All right, let me get to my second page because I got to wrap this up. Why does Trump care to invite the U.S. into these situations? Does Donald Trump really want world peace? Or does Donald Trump really want to be famous? Or does Donald Trump really want to go to heaven? I'm going to tell you right now, I don't care. I don't care. Here's the reason why I don't care. I don't care what the motivations are of somebody if I get to eat ice cream for dessert. Because I love ice cream. So somebody can go, hey, look here, man. I'm trying to make money off ice cream. Or I love children and I love people that eat ice cream. Or, hey, look here. I'm doing this for the most altruistic reason or the most devilish reason ever. As long as I get my ice cream in the end, I really don't care what their motivation is. As long as it's not detrimental to me. I don't care whether Donald Trump wants to be famous. I don't care whether Donald Trump wants to get into heaven. I don't care if Donald Trump has good reasons or bad reasons for ending the war. All I know is thousands of people are going to stop dying if Donald Trump brings peace in Ukraine, between Ukraine and Russia. I don't care. It's a Game of Thrones scene where the Russian people are being massacred on the front lines and the Ukrainian people are being massacred on the front line for a border. And I don't care what Putin's reasons are or Zelensky's reasons are. It's a border. It's a line on the ground. Every one of the borders that has ever been written has been written for political reasons. We didn't own the United States at one time. We didn't own New England. But we had to go take that away from England. We didn't own Florida. We had to take that away from Spain. We didn't own Louisiana. We had to get that. And Louisiana Purchase, we had to get that from the French. Then James Polk went up and said, hey, look here, England, we're going to take Oregon and Washington. James Polk did that. And then James Polk went, hey, you know what? We're going to need California, and we're going to need Texas, and we're going to need Nevada and Utah. And he took that from the Mexicans. In 4 years, James Polk went and redrew the borders of the United States from half a country to the country that we have right now, with the exception of Hawaii and Alaska. Did you know that? Yeah, so we have gotten into wars in order to change our borders. And at one time, Russia had taken over all of Crimea and the Donbass and Ukraine and Hungary and Poland and all of these other countries, and they had the USSR, which was all the stands, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, all of the stands, except for Pakistan. That wasn't part of it. But you know what I mean. So all of the stands were part of Russia at one time. And I got news for you. That just changed when the East Germany collapsed. Then all of a sudden, Poland was free, Hungary was free, all of the countries in the northern European countries were free. All of the Crimeas and all of the Donbass region and all of Crimea and all that was also free. We're not done drawing borders in this world. I wish that we didn't have borders, but we're still not done drawing borders. Heck, borders are still being drawn between Pakistan and India with the Kashmir right in there. People are still trying to take Texas back to Mexico. It's not over. All I'm asking is that, can we get peace? Because here's the thing. If we can get peace in the world, then we can solve the rest of our problems. Then we don't have to spend billions and trillions of dollars on the industrial military complex in order to promote the war. Now, that employs a lot of people. I know that. But the simple fact of the matter is that even if you're employing all of these people over here, that's not worth the lives that are being spent in Ukraine and in Russia. So if Donald Trump can pull us off and actually get peace, whether they have to redraw lines or not, I don't care. Let's stop the killing first. All of those countries were part of Russia. Then they declared their independence. Now Russia's like, hey, look here, man, you got resources, you got other things. We have to have our stuff considered too. I would like to commend Mark Rubio and the State Department for their actions in the last 7 months of the Trump administration for what they have done around the world. They have not only broken out peace in several different places, but they have brought people to the White House to meet with Donald Trump so that they can go negotiate deals in Africa and in Europe and in the Middle East and all around the globe, in the Far East, which is awesome, in the Orient. And I think that is awesome. This is the most international that I have seen our country be since I don't know. I was going to say World War II, but because everybody was involved there, right? But in Gulf War II in 2001, when we went over, that was very, very international. So that was George Bush that did that. But now we are on a global stage and we are doing a good job. So congratulations and kudos to the State Department. They are working overtime over there in the State Department. And then why is this significant? This is the last thing I'm going to say about this because we're at 35 minutes. I'm not 5 minutes over. I'm sorry. I apologize. This is important. All right. This demonstrates the United States' commitment to world leadership. The world was trying to be without leaders. Nobody was stepping up to go, hey, look here. The United States of America actually is the leader of the free world, and we need to start acting like it. We need to act like what we do and how we do it is the single most important thing on the planet. Because what we do is we celebrate freedom, democracy, the American way, the Constitution of the United States, the amendments to the Constitution, freedom for the people, freedom of speech, freedom to bear arms, freedom to get together, freedom of the press. We've got to demonstrate that we have a commitment to the world for world peace and world economic stability. We owe it to the world. We're the largest country economically and militarily. We're third in the population, and we owe it to the world to show the world that we are actually the best country in the world, and we want them to have the best country in the world too. That way, we can all get along and bring peace to the how many people? 8 billion people on the planet. How hard is that? So that's going to be the show for the night. I think that we're doing some wonderful things in the name of peace. And I just want you to be able to celebrate and have an idea about what's going on in the world, because peace is worth it. So with that said, that's it for tonight. Thank you very much for joining me. I am Mickey. This is Mickey in the middle of the week, 9 p.m. every Wednesday night on the weeks that I'm in town. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate everybody being part of this. We love you. We will see you next time. Have a great night. God bless you, and God bless America. See ya.
First sight when she walked through that door, the most beautiful girl I'd ever seen before. Sea green eyes and long blonde hair, cool smooth smile and didn't have a care. I don't know why, but she walked my way. I was scared to death, but I was ready to play. Love at first sight sets the spirit free. I felt the dark clouds part, I heard the angels sing. My heart caught fire and my soul can fly. That's when I knew